Hey everyone, so we're going to be discussing generating random numbers in C++, but I do have a disclaimer. These are not true random numbers, but something called pseudo-random numbers, which are very close. So using pseudo-random numbers would be fine if you're making a simple game in C++, if you need to simply roll a dice or deal some cards, but I wouldn't use these for any high-level program that involves some security. But this would be fine just for a simple game. So let's begin. Now, at the top of your program, this is what we're going to include. We're going to include two things. So include stdlib.h, and this is for the srand as well as the rand function. The other thing that we're going to include is time.h, and this allows us to work with the current time. All right. So the first step to creating a pseudo-random number is that we are going to initialize a random seed based on the current time. This is what we can do to do that. Type in srand, then a set of parentheses, and within the parentheses type in time, another set of parentheses, and the word null. So this is going to generate a random seed for us, and it's going to change based on the current time. There are other techniques of generating random seeds for pseudo-random numbers, but this is one that you'll commonly see, so that's why I'm introducing this method instead of others. Alright, now we want to assign a random number to a variable, so we'll declare a variable such as number, and we're going to set this to rand, parentheses. Alright, and this next part is we're going to type in modulus, and the range of numbers that we want to generate. So let's pretend that we want to roll a 6-sided dice. We're going to type in modulus, then 6. All right. So we're going to get a random number between 0 and 5, but it's a total of 6 numbers. So you always count 0 when you're generating a random number. So if you want the numbers 1 through 6, one thing you can do is just add 1. So this will generate a random number between 1 and 6 for us. So let's actually display this just to test it. So we're going to see out whatever our number is. So let's run this. Okay, we got 1. Let's try it again. 5, and 1 last time. And 5 again. All right, so we know that it's working then. So if you want to change this to a different number, you can. So for example, I play a lot of Dungeons & Dragons, so we use polyhedral dice that might have 20 sides or 12 sides. So if you want to roll a 20-sided dice, I would just put 20 here and then plus 1. So then I'll get the numbers 1 through 20. So let's try this now as if we're rolling for initiative. So we just crit failed, we got a 1. Let's try it again. We got an 11 and we got a 20. So I have an exercise that we can work on. Let's generate 3 random numbers and display them, kind of like a slot machine, but without all the fancy pictures. So what I'm going to do is just copy this statement and paste this a few times, and I'm going to change these variables to number 1, number 2, and number 3. And maybe let's change the range from 1 through 10. And then I'll just display these. So number 1, maybe I'll add a space between here. Number 2, then add a space, and number 3. Okay, let's try this. We got 7, 3, and 10, 3, 9, and 7, and 3, 6, and 2. So this will generate 3 random numbers between the ranges of 1 and 10. And if you know how to work with GUI components or some sort of visual, you could easily just replace those numbers with some sort of picture or other graphical image if you do want to simulate a slot machine of some sort. But this would be a good place to start to at least get the random numbers going. So just a quick summary that when you use this random function, you can use modulus and the range of numbers that you want to generate. If you want 100 numbers, you could change this to 100. But it's going to be the numbers 0 through 99 that you get. So you can add 1 to get 1 through 100. Otherwise, you can always add a higher number to this for some reason. You can add 10. Then all numbers that you generate would have 10 added to them then. at that point. So it depends on the program you're really working on too. So you can use modulus, the range of numbers that you want. Then if you want to add something to that number, you can do so. Well, that's the basics of generating random numbers in C++.